My final point I just want to tackle is the whole debate around trans rights and gender dysphoria. And I'm particularly uncomfortable that that debate now has become pitted against the rights of women. It is surely not beyond the wit of policymakers to devise a set of rules and principles that protect the rights of transsexuals to find a way of living their lives and not discriminate against women at the same time. Those of us who want to see women-only safe spaces are not guilty of hate crime against trans people. Not at all. And I will say this, I think people who are trans, they actually want to quietly get on with their lives. I don't think it helps any of them that they're pitted in this terrible, horrible, toxic debate. And in fact, the only people who are winning through this debate are those men who will use their power to oppress women and are seeing this opportunity to claim this right to self-identify as a weapon. And none of us in this room should collude with that. We've already seen the case of Karen White, who self-identified as a woman and went into prison and committed crimes against fellow inmates. So we must be able to devise a law that stops that from happening, but also supports those who are most vulnerable and need to have their rights defended. And my final point on this issue, which I think I think Parliament has failed to really give proper oversight into the growing treatment for transgender interventions for younger people. We've allowed the treatments to develop at the Tavistock really unsupervised, and this is no criticism of the medical professionals there who clearly are doing the work they're doing with the best of intentions. But we really need to look at the ethics of some of this and the practicalities of it, because we are seeing more and more girls being referred for gender reassignment treatment. And when we're talking about girls, we are talking about girls well below the age of majority. And I personally am very uncomfortable. Well, I think it's wrong to put forward people for treatment that's irreversible when they are not in a position legally to give consent. And I think what we really need to do is, again, be more honest about the challenges of puberty. Puberty's horrible. I can remember growing up. I was a tomboy probably doesn't surprise you that I was a bit of a tomboy when I was younger. But when I got to my teens and suddenly felt my body changing, it was horrible. I hated every minute of it. I can't believe what might have happened to me now going through that. It wasn't enough to go and carry on climbing trees and so on, and playing at being chips rather than Charlie's Angels. But now I'd be on my iPad and I'd suddenly find lots of other people who thought like me. And then, oh, guess what? All these people are going to the Tavistock. It scares the hell out of me. And I just fear we're doing harm to girls when actually this is something that they could just be going through, and it's quite a normal thing. It's just not to be comfortable with what's happening to your body. And the fact that so many of these girls who are going for such treatment have also have issues with autism, again, frightens me even more. And I was actually contacted by a parent just this week who thanked me for something that I'd said about this issue, because she wanted to talk about the experience she'd had with her daughter, who was on the spectrum. And as she said, one of the classic symptoms of autism is that as a sort of self-defense tactic is you become a different personality. So when you think about that in the context of puberty and an unhappiness with what's happening to the way your body's changing, of course it would be a natural response to pretend to be a different gender. So I really think we have failed in this House, that we haven't given sufficient scrutiny and debate to a treatment which, frankly, if it is given out wrong, will do real harm to those girls and boys that go through it. And I hope this is something that we can actually give more attention to in future.